Hola YouTube, what up? Welcome back to another silver stacking video. Got a couple of awesome little pieces of silver here. Some silver with some history. History associated with the Hunt brothers and their cornering of the market in 1979 and 1980. And that run up of silver all the way to $50 per ounce. Amazing YouTube back in the 1980s. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. I'll tell you about these little bars. So here we go, YouTube. Got a couple of awesome little LCS pickups here. This little 1 ounce Bache bar. And I'm going to call it Bache, not 100% certain on the pronunciation of this name here. But I'm going to call it Bache. I believe that to be correct. But we got a nice little 1 ounce press bar here. 1 ounce 99 fine silver. And then an awesome little vintage poured silver bar, 10 ounces. Sweet little pickup these are indeed. But here we go. Let's talk about the history of this bar and the connection with the Hunt brothers. Bache was one of a number of different securities firms dealing with derivatives at the time that allowed the Hunt brothers to extend themselves with margin, basically take out massive amounts of loans to buy silver futures contracts. And Bache was one of the ones who just really allowed the Hunt brothers to take in just massive amounts of margins. Quite frankly, more than what Bache's net worth was at the time. And they were fined in the end. They were fined $400,000. It was the largest fine the SEC had hit a securities company with at the time. And again, this was back in 1980. But the Hunt brothers, we know, tried to corner the market. They had at one time 195 million ounces of futures contracts. And the SEC put a stop to that, basically preventing the Hunt brothers from purchasing any more and only allowing them to sell. And so the purchasing of the futures contracts drove that price of silver, the spot price of silver, up from $10 an ounce at the time all the way to almost $50 per ounce. The SEC, once they put the stop to the Hunt brothers' acquisition of futures, and only allowing them to sell, really started driving that spot price of silver down again. So in just a few months period of time, it ran up all the way to 50, then all the way from 10, and all the way back down to 10 again. So an amazing little fiasco that took place in the markets, pretty much endangering Bache's existence at the time, because they're the ones of the different firms that were involved to just allow so much debt, so much margin, without really confirming whether or not the Hunt brothers could actually pay for it. At the end of the day, they did survive. They did get paid everything that they had loaned basically to the Hunt brothers, and in fact actually had to take possession of quite a bit of silver and sell quite a bit of silver. At one point in time, the Bache company here had control of 24 million ounces of silver, and when the Hunt brothers could not actually pay back their margin calls, the Bache company had to actually sell quite a bit of silver, and that's where these bars came from. And you find them in different sizes, 1 ounce press bars like this, and then 5 and 10 ounce ingots like this. Pretty nice. If anybody's got a 5 ounce ingot they'd like to sell to the silver bean counter, definitely hit me up in the comments below, and perhaps we can exchange emails and take it there, because I'm interested in picking up a nice little 5 ounce bar. You do see them pop up on eBay from time to time, and there's a few of them out there right now, but they got just insanely ridiculous premiums on there. Really what I intend to do is just keep my eyes open at local coin shops, people selling them to the coin shops for cheap, and then picking them up a little bit over spot. That's how I came across these awesome little bars here. So a nice piece of history to look out for. But some of the other firms that were involved, Dean Witter was involved, E.F. Hutton was involved. And I remember back in the day, the commercials of E.F. Hutton, they had the best commercials. When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. It was a couple of guys in suits having a meeting in a restaurant, some guys talking about retirement. What am I going to do? What do I do next? And then the pause. When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. It was a pretty cool commercial. But anyway, guys, an awesome piece of history connected to the hunts. Amazing that amazing how these bars and why these bars were created in the first place. It just goes to show you one more time, guys, with the way the SEC prevented the Hunt brothers from acquiring more silver. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. And there's a right method. There is a good method to stack your silver. You want to mess around with paper and play with paper, that's fine in small quantities. I think just take advantage of the volatility and spot price without the liabilities of the premiums that are involved in actual physical silver. But from a long haul standpoint, a stacking standpoint, guys, this is what you want to stack. You want to stack the physical. Absolutely. Because if it's just a piece of paper, you can be prevented by the SEC from buying or selling without any control whatsoever and any option or dispute whatsoever. Now, the Hunt brothers, they did something crazy, right, by just, going into massive debt to try to acquire as much silver as possible. But when the SEC saw what these guys were trying to do and prevented them from buying more and only allowing them to sell, the fact that they went into debt to acquire all the metal in the first place, it was just a matter of time before the spot price of silver just plummeted back down. So definitely the Hunt brothers took a hit financially. I'm sure Bache did too, but at least they got their full margin call back. They eventually ended up getting acquired by Prudential Securities. You guys may or may not recall Prudential Securities. They were around at I want to say through 2008 during the financial crisis of 2008. Then a lot of securities firms and banks, there were a lot of mergers took place. Washington Mutual is no longer around. A number of banks are no longer around anymore, just getting gobbled up in the whole merger with the banking bailouts that took place back in 2008. All interesting bits of history, guys. And so, yeah, definitely look for these. Nice little kind of a stacker's collector's piece, these bars here, Bache. So, all right, YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. Post your comments down below for sure. Any of you got any of these? They are pretty cool. So, all right, YouTube, talk to you later.